So the starter kit. This is what I recommend for anybody 7th, 8th, or going into your 9th grade, is visiting local colleges. Getting on campuses, getting a feel for those campuses, and a variety of them. Small, big, Division I, NAIA, whatever it is. Anything that's within driving distance, which is probably any one of these schools, is what I recommend parents and players going out there and getting on those campuses. You can even set up a tour through the school, and they can give you a little bit better insight of the school. You get information from the admissions department, maybe go in and check out the rooms, like we are in today, and just get a feel for different campuses. Going to local college soccer games. So checking out those games. We're going into the spring season now, so college teams will have spring games. So look at their schedules and go find some games to watch. It'll give you a gauge of the level as well. You can gauge and say, okay, is this the level that I could see myself playing at in 2-3 years or not? You'll also get a chance to see the coaches interact with the players and how the players interact with the coaches. So you'll get a really good feel of the overall level and the experience playing at the college level. Watching soccer games, now you guys are lucky. You can watch games on TV now. So take advantage of that, online, live stream. When you guys travel, when you go to showcases, or even if you just travel for vacation, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Go check out a campus. And then last but not least, make sure your grades are good and you have good study habits. Establishing those study habits early is very, very important. You want to make sure that you have those good study habits, because if you want to go to college, you've got to have good grades, hands down, bottom line. And I'm sure we'll get into that with Amy. Action step number 1, build your target list and find your best fit. Some of you guys have filled out the questionnaires. I've noticed that this is a big part of your questions or concerns. I don't know what's a good fit for me. And I noticed that in some of the questionnaires that you guys filled out. And finding that fit and finding that target list is the foundation of this process. And this is where I think a lot of players or parents, they move past this. And this is the foundation of what you have to have. You have to know the range of schools that you're interested in. And we all have the popular schools, right? We all know the UCLAs and the Stanfords and USCs and all those. But expanding your list and challenging yourself to do the research and expand that list, I recommend to 25 colleges. Your top 10 schools, your next best 10 schools, and 5 fallback schools. If you can expand that list, you have a better opportunity. And there's so many schools out there that you don't even think of. Greg will touch on that a little bit, I think. So finding your target list, doing the research, and finding your best fit. These are the research resources that I recommend. Top Drawer Soccer, it's a free resource. It's topdrawersoccer.com. You can go on there, you can look at the women's college soccer, men's college soccer. There's so much information that you can grab from there in terms of the commitments that they're making to players. You can even go through the roster and find out players that are in your graduating year, what positions they are, and then identify if that position is going to be open approximately when you're graduating. There's a lot of research that you can do just from that free resource for Top Drawer Soccer. NCAA recruiting spreadsheet. This is actually, I'm going to skip that one because this isn't for the boys, so you can, but inside the guide, I go into a video tutorial that shows you all the different parts of the Top Drawer Soccer and kind of walk you through how you can do that research there. And then College Fit Finder is a great resource to use, and for college search, identifying your fit, and I'm not even going to touch that because I'm going to let Greg get into that, but it's a great resource. When I was just beginning my guide, I reached out to Greg to find out more information, and he emailed me back immediately, and he called me and he actually walked me through what they have to offer, and I was even that much more impressed. Not only with his customer service and his interest to help, but what they have and what they provide for the research that you guys need to do. So that's a great, great resource. Action step 2, collect college coach contact information. For some teams and athletic websites, it's not as easy as you would expect to get the emails of the coaches. You have to kind of dig and search a little bit. So for some of them it's pretty easy, some it's a little bit more difficult. But you definitely want to get that the contact information there. And here's some recommendations. My advice is when you're doing your research, in action step number 1, is to bookmark all the different schools that you are interested in. So as you're building that target list, that way on your computer you've got the folder or you've got the bookmarks and you've got all those schools there. It's going to save you a lot of time and energy when you have to go back and then try to collect the contact information. So that's just some tips and advice there. Top Drawer Soccer, their contact information is not up to date, but you can always get from there to their website, and then from their website you can search the staff directory, and then you can grab the contact information for the coaches. Recommendation here, or advice, you want to get all the contact information for all the coaches, not just the head coach. You want the head coach, the assistant coach, the recruiting coordinator. You want to make sure you have everybody's email address, because you most likely will not be talking directly to the head coach in the beginning. You're going to have to work your way up. So make sure you get all the contact information for all coaches. You can do, easy way is Google the athletic school, and get to their athletic website and get the contact information there. Inside the guide, all members get free access to the database that I've created and that I have inside. So for some it's hard to get their information, and I have a database that I have emails for. And then College Fit Finder as well. Your guys' database is what? Everything, right?
I mean, mainly head coaches.
Mainly head coaches, okay. But another great resource in terms of how to collect the contact information. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. Action step 3, creating your profile. This is important. This is your first impression to these college coaches. So you want to make sure that you have a legitimate profile, not a Word document with your picture posted up in the corner like that. You want to make it, you want to find a legitimate profile that's attractive, easily to be read and seen and used. What I mean by this is, a lot of us, you guys play with SDCSL, most everybody here. So within Demisphere, you can create a free profile. And the reason I recommend that is if you have that profile and you include that link, that profile link in your email, it's easy for the coach to just click that link and get to your profile. And then from there, they can obviously see your schedule. So you have to make the job of the college coaches as easy as possible to get to you or to get your information. So Demisphere, you have a free profile to set up. It's not fancy, but it does the job. And I show you how to set up the profile if you don't know how to do that on Demisphere. What to include is all the basic information, from your academic information, athletic information, obviously your GPA, your graduation year, all the details there. You want to make sure that all the information is there. How to structure and organize that information. You want to make it attractive, so you want to bold some things and make sure some things stand out. It's easy to read, and you also want to make sure that it's the most current is at the top. So if a college coach is going through it, they see your most current, accolades or experiences or whatever it is at the top. So just make sure you structure and organize it well. And then references inside your profile. All coaches know coaches. So when you're building that profile, you want to make sure that you include all of your coaches in those references. So for example, Brian Wallace, and then maybe Mike Rubio, or whoever all your coaches are, because if I'm a college coach and I'm looking at your profile and I see, oh, Brian Wallace, I know him, and his contact information is there in the email, I can right straight from there email him and say, hey, I got a profile from your player, and then I can start, asking him some questions about that player. So you want to make it easy for the college coaches to be able to follow up if they need to. So references are very, very key to make sure you include them. And make sure the contact information is up to date. Action step number 4, compose and sending emails. So you found your target list, you have your fit, you have the contact information, you've created your profile, now we're ready to send some emails. Okay, this is your initial contact with the college coaches. So before you do this, you want to make sure you have a personalized recruiting email account. Okay, whatever you guys have, if it's soccerplayas99 at Yahoo, you want to make sure it's specific. So for example, Carlos Gonzalez 2020, which is my graduation year, at gmail.com. So make sure you have that type of, it'll be a separate email account. You can track all your communication that way. So make sure you set that up. Introduction and follow-up emails, those are the basic ones that you're going to have to set up. Inside the guide I give you samples and templates, so you can basically copy and paste or just get a very good idea of what you should be including in that email. In those emails, you want to include the link of your profile link, your schedule, so if you have any upcoming events or tournaments, and make sure this is a link. Don't copy and paste your schedule, because that schedule can change. And it's also not easy for the coaches to get to that schedule if it's just copy and pasted in there. So put the link in there so that they can click the link. If the schedule changes, you don't have to worry about it. And it's a lot easier for the college coaches to get to. If you have video, you can include the video link in there as well. And also, I recommend a signature. So if you don't know how to set up a signature at the bottom of your email, it serves as a mini profile. So you can use the same picture that you have from your profile in that signature, your name, your graduation year, your position, maybe your club, and that information back there. Again, it's just a reminder of who you are, puts a visual of your face with them, and it's also like your profile. Last tip with that is making sure your subject is pretty consistent throughout. So Carlos Gonzalez 2020 introduction email, so your name is in there, and then you can change it to follow-up email or showcase event, whatever it is. It makes it a lot easier for the college coaches to search you if they need to find that email again, or however they file their emails, they can put that into a certain file. So keep it consistent in that sense. And then phone calls. I get this from parents and players all the time. Should I call? When should I call? When should I call? My advice is you don't want to call, and these guys can speak, maybe elaborate on that later on. I don't think you should call the college coach until they're actually interested or wanting a call from you, and then you can actually start to have that conversation. Per NCAA rules, they aren't allowed to email you back or call you back. So that's where some players and parents become a little bit confused. They're like, I've sent them emails, but I haven't heard back from them. Well, they aren't allowed to until September 1st of your junior year for Division I. So just some advice that those are some of the rules and regulations with NCAA. So phone calls, I don't recommend doing that until they've actually expressed interest and they actually are wanting you to call them. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Action step number 5, perform. So now you've done all the legwork, you've done all the research, you've sent out your emails, and you've invited these college coaches to come watch you play. Now you got to perform. Now you got that. Bottom line, you have to be able to perform. Doing all that work isn't going to do anything if you aren't prepared to perform. What I've found is you have to be mentally and physically prepared. You have to make sure that you're physically fit and mentally prepared for this, because the pressure and the stress that can come along with this can become overwhelming and it can get the best of you at times. I've had players that have had college coaches and they're on the field and they're literally lined up on the sidelines, and players, they freeze, or they buckle, or they don't perform at their best because of the pressure of the college coaches, or the pressure of the coach, or the pressure of the parents, or the pressure of the process in general. So you have to make sure that you're mentally prepared for this. So I give some mental strength training advice and guide within the college soccer guide. But it's a huge factor because I've seen players that have tanked it. And it's okay, you'll have another chance to get seen, but you want to be able to be at your best and perform as close to your best potential as possible when that time comes. So there's also the making sure that you're technically prepared, tactically prepared. All those factors come into play. And I give my recommendations and my advice on what you should be doing to be prepared for that. And Brian obviously has a wealth of knowledge in that as well. And I'm going to actually need to add more of that for him as well. But you know, how you can make sure, nutrition, all those things are very, very important to make sure. Because you have about those 10 to 18 months to make sure that you're physically fit and mentally prepared to be able to get recruited. How to get noticed. So there's obviously college ID camps, showcases, all those different ways of getting noticed. And you know, what are college coaches looking for? We'll be able to ask them a little bit later. But I was at an ID camp yesterday, and one of the coaches said, we're looking for players at an ID camp, players that are going to want to overachieve. If you're stressed and pressured and nervous, you aren't going to be in that position to be an overachiever. So you want to make sure that you're mentally prepared. College coaches are looking for good character, how you handle losing, how you handle winning. Are you a good teammate? What's your attitude like? How do you interact with your coaches, with the opposing team? How you're acting before the game, after the game. They watch everything. And then we're very fortunate to have college coaches here, so we can get a better feel for them directly. I also, inside the guide, give recommendations and advice of what showcases are good for what, which college ID camps are good, and training advice as well. Action step number 6, scheduling unofficial college visits. This is where I say the magic happens, or things get really exciting. Because if you've been, now you're showcased, you performed, a college coach is interested in you, then they're most likely going to reach out to your club coach or one of your references and want to get more information about you, or want to get to know you a little bit more. And this is where the phone calls come into play. The dynamic series of steps, because college coaches can't contact you directly, they usually have to go through a club coach. So then I have to take that and forward it on to, or Brian will forward that email on to you and say, hey, are you interested in this school? And then you have to get back to them and let them know and schedule a phone call. Usually they want to have a conversation with you. So scheduling that phone call is, I as a coach help facilitate that, but you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. If they're interested in you, you want to jump on it. You don't want to just let it go on. Within that week or within a few days, you want to make sure you take advantage of that opportunity and schedule a time to call them. So send them an email, let them know when you plan to call them. My advice is to text them right when you're ready to call them so that they know to expect your phone call, because if they don't have your number, it's going to be a random number up, even if they have it scheduled. So make sure you text them. I'm calling you now. This is Carlos Gonzalez from All World FC, and I'm calling you now. That way they can hopefully pick up. If they don't, then they got to circle back with me or Brian and let them know, you're busy or whatever. But phone calls, that's how you schedule them. The conversations are not always easy. For a lot of players, having a conversation with a college coach or an adult over the phone and not just texting is probably something not that you aren't used to. Inside the guide, I give a list of questions to be prepared for, a list of questions to ask, some research that you should do on the college so that you can let them know that you're actually interested in that school and you do research. So I give that so you can kind of be prepared for those conversations. And obviously, if they do want you to come to the campus and get on campus and invite you for an unofficial visit, they're obviously seriously interested in you. And this is an opportunity for the college coach to get you on their campus, show you their facilities, show you more about their program, get to know them a little bit more, and vice versa, them get to know you. And you'll probably end up spending a lot of time with them on that visit. And you may even start to have that conversation about offers or scholarship or interest or levels of interest and those types of things. So being prepared for that conversation is very important, and I give advice on tips on how to be prepared for that type of conversation when you get on campus with them. The final step, action step, navigating the decision-making process. This becomes very dynamic. I usually end up having a lot of consulting calls at this time because there's a lot of details. Every player, every situation is different, so there's a lot of different situations in that. The negotiating process, I guess you could call it, is very the coaches have so many different factors to have to consider. So if it's not always just how good you are, it's about, you know, what other players they have, what money they have available or don't have available. There's a lot of different factors. So you have to be understanding and knowing it's not just, you aren't just negotiating or talking about your value. There's a lot more factors that come into play when they're trying to make those decisions. So helping you navigate through that is important, and Brian's very good at that. So that's action step number 7. It gets very dynamic at that point. Inside the guide, I've included some bonuses, which is the NCAA guide. Gives you all the rules and regulations that you have to know, and everything's all in one place. So I know when I was trying to help my team, it was all over the place, and now I just put it all together in one spot. A timeline guide gives you an idea of where you might fall within the timeline. If you're really, really highly academic, you might end up making your decision a little bit later down the road versus somebody that's super athletic and their scholarship or they're being recruited very early, they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. So I give a guide in there. The financial guide, that's not my expertise, but I brought in Adam Skumowitz, who's a licensed financial advisor, and he's got a great knowledge and experience in this. So he's provided all the content for me for the financial guide. And then the admissions guide, that's Amy. She's provided all the content in there for the guide as well. So those are just bonuses that I added inside there. So this is just a quick review. I wanted to use this because I didn't use it. So here's our little review. Any questions on anything so far? Yes?
When do you start the process? Sophomore or junior or
Freshman. The starter kit that I mentioned is like 7th and 8th, just getting out to some campuses. I was at an ID camp yesterday, and there's a 7th grader out there at the ID camp. Is she trying to get recruited? No, but she's getting comfortable being in that environment, and you know, the mom was like, why not? I'm like, yeah, exactly, why not? She was the youngest one out there. But it's never too late, but there's only so much you can do at different stages, right? But by freshman, you should really start getting some traction and going, looking at number 1 target list and doing the research. You can never start too early with the research. Good question.
You mentioned something about, when you're talking about step 3 and creating a profile, is it something about Demisphere?
Yeah, Demisphere, SDCSL,
Okay.
right? That's where the schedules are on. So you can go in and create a profile through there if you have your login number,
Okay.
login ID. And if you don't, your manager will have it.
Okay.
But I have information on how to actually set it up, but it's free.
Okay.
Yes?
Just a question about profile.
Uh-huh.
So you usually like with the SCPSL league,
Yeah.
is your team manager that sets up the players and what information they want to include?
Well, they set it up, they just include your email in there, and then you just, with your email, ask for your PIN number, and then they'll send you a PIN number, and then from there you can get in and do the details of the profile that you need to set up. So the manager just has to go in there and include everybody's email.
And what age do you want the boys to start doing that? Because I know the younger age, you kind of don't include emails because they're too young, so.
Brian?
High school freshmen, you should start.
Yes?
On profiles, I know Demosphere is free, but if you pay a small fee for like Captain U profiles, are those equally equivalent, or would you steer one versus another?
I was at a college ID camp yesterday and that question came up, like how do you feel about recruiting services, which is Captain U, a recruiting service. And across the board, and you can ask these guys, across the board, unanimously, the coaches said they don't like it. Because what Captain U will do is they're sending the emails out there for you. Coaches want emails from you personally, directly, not from a recruiting services sending the email to you. Is that what you're
No, I'm
asking?
in the profile. You have a profile posted there.
Yeah.
Not them sending out on your behalf, but your profile that's posted there.
Yeah.
Versus the free Demosphere profile.
There are other ones that you can pay for that are good. I don't know. I don't use Captain U, but Greg could probably elaborate on that a little bit more now.
Oh, on a profile?
Yeah.
Just in general?
Yeah.
I probably can talk about it in a second when you go through the technology.
Okay. He'll talk about that.
When you ask in the profile, when you ask like for the coaching while they're in high school, is it basically all the clubs that you played for with coaches, or just the high school coach and the club that you've already with continuously, or?
In terms of references,
Yeah.
I'd say all of them. I mean, if you think that high school coach can help you and has some connections and he's willing to help you if they contact him, why not?
Okay.
Yeah. College coach, high school coaches, trainers, anything like that. Yeah, trainers. I recommend. So the only other thing that I like to do, yeah.
Just a question on the profile. Does it make any difference whether or not, if the high school coach is not really, has no contacts and it's not really a competing part, does it need to go on the profile or just the club information?
Yeah, you can just focus on the club information if you want. Yeah, it's not, if it's not gonna help you, you don't need to include it. Okay, Greg?
We still get on that. So my name is Greg Allen from College Finder. We build technology solutions for families, players, clubs, coaches, so that you guys can better navigate the process. So some of the I guess you say exciting news, I guess it's exciting news. We're going to be partnering with College Soccer Guide in providing technology backbone. I'll touch on that a little bit more. Some recent things, Brad Friedel, I don't even know if you guys know who that is. Sure. Hope so. Sometimes I ask and parents don't know, but he's recently become an owner and a partner in our group. With him taking the U19 national team job, a lot of exciting things are happening with what we're doing and how we can better work with families like you. A little bit on my background, came from originally born and raised in Las Vegas, which means nobody cares about you. That's really what that means. Nobody's driving, no college coach is driving to the middle of the day, to the desert, 6 hours to come watch me play in a high school game. There's one school in the entire state of Nevada that plays men's soccer, and if UNLV doesn't like you, get used to the idea you're not playing in college. Otherwise, it's shout from the rooftops, come watch me play, come watch me play, come watch me play. Otherwise, nobody cares. Out here, we get lulled to sleep. We feel like we can throw a rock, hit 15 schools, and someone's going to come see me play. Sorry to tell you, college coaches will tell you, there's so many kids to recruit, especially in the hotbed like Southern California, that if you think you're just showing up at a field and you're going to get seen, sorry, not going to happen. So I think my role tonight is to talk a little bit more about and be blunt about what the realities of what you are going to be facing in the recruiting process. I don't have a ton of time to talk about it, but hopefully this will kind of light a flame under to what you guys are going to be facing. So, but that was my process, and so we had to do things the right way when I went through the process with my mom and my dad, my family, and what we do is we build that technology, and from what you guys are going to be facing, we build technology for clubs, for teams, and what you guys are going to be facing, and so tonight's going to be going over a little bit on that process of what you guys will be facing. Now, Carlos gave a great step-by-step approach, kind of an overview, and then I'm going to go through the technology on what you would get if you decided that you wanted a little bit more help with the process. This is something that you guys will actually be getting. So my apologies for having to talk with my back to you. I'll try and be loud. And where's the, who's on Chrome? So I think one of your first piece was what your first. Let's talk about we'll start with the profiles. So and I'll talk directly to the players. Raise of hands. Anybody who has a player profile right now, like an interactive one that you can send to a college coach that everything that you got on there. Okay. So who doesn't have one? All right. So let me come back over here. So you look old enough to be in the process. So. You don't have a player profile yet, right? No. Okay, so to parents, who wouldn't walk into a job interview without a resume, right? Doesn't make sense. So if a college coach wanted to know more information about you right now and said, what's your name? Danny. Danny, send me your information. Really, I saw you on the field. Can you send me some more info? What would you do?
I'd send you the info.
But you don't have the info.
Yeah,
you would try and scramble around. So these guys, when they want information from you, you better be able to provide that information. Now, Carlos had mentioned before about who filled out a questionnaire. Now, if a college coach asks you to fill out a questionnaire, fill out the questionnaire. If they want your information, make sure that is already done. Because does anybody think that you are recruitable if you can't provide college coaches any information about you whatsoever? Raise a hand. Anybody? No. So, first things first, get yourself a player profile, and this is something that through the College Soccer Guide would be something that you guys might want to take a look at. So, something that you hear, everything, it's player profile, it's interactive, you get a unique URL, you can send this off to a college coach, so it's much more interactive than the Demisphere one that you were mentioning before. So a college coach gets this link that you send in an email, they can take a look at your highlight video, take a look at that. They don't have to link out to YouTube to actually look at that information. Everything's housed under there. From your honors, your stats, your highlights, any news articles written about you. Maybe you scored the game-winning goal in the state final for CIF, what have you, and they wrote an article about you. Perfect. Put that in. They can link out to it. Your academics, from your transcripts, so they can actually verify that you have that 4.2 GPA that you claim to have. Trust me, it's probably pretty annoying for them when they find out what your real grades are. So make sure that you have that information, that you're always honest, and it has your coursework. Can I scroll down? Oh, okay. Wrong way. Max, go the other way. From your coursework, anything with your college or honors or AP classes, we want to make sure that you're highlighting that you're not just taking normal classes. If you're taking honors or any extracurriculars, clubs, volunteer, we want to highlight that because these guys are not just recruiting student athletes, they're recruiting student athletes with a particular character, so when you come into their program, and sometimes you're not going to be playing a lot as a freshman. They don't want anybody coming in and plaguing their program. They want to make sure they're bringing in good apples, okay? Highlighting that information here as well. And then obviously the references, there was a mention about a high school coach, but make sure that from your club, anybody that you're working with that has a great recommendation for you, if they pick up the phone and called this person, what would they say about you? You can even include a little bit of information there, or at least their contact information. So important, so critical, and everything is branded for your organization so that college coaches know exactly where you're from. You can copy and paste this one-page resume. Now, people like this because it is automatically gets done for you. Print 5 of them out, put them in your bag. You go to an ID camp, you never know what's going to happen. Who you run into at Starbucks after your showcase game, you never know. But this is the stuff that happens. Your ID campaign. Number 27, you got any more information on you? Yes, I do. Here's my resume. Or maybe at a showcase, one of the coaches that are sitting on the sidelines go to your coach and say, hey, I really like number 27. I know I got the brochure for your team, but do you have any more information on that particular player? Hey, Johnny, you got that? Yes, I do. Here you go. Here you go. Okay? You never know what's going to happen. You always want to make sure that you're prepared. And some people just like attaching this in an email, even if they want to do that there as well. So, when it comes to the player profile, I'd say that's your first step in making sure that you have something to show. If you don't have anything to show, I don't know how you get recruited. Yes?
What format did you use to make that profile?
It's inside the College Fit Finder. So just going through some of the additional technology assets that you guys would have access to, and then a little bit of the points that Carlos had touched on. So what was the second module? I think it was the research side of things?
Yeah.
Oh, logged out. Oops. Okay, so this is the college search is the base building block to everything that you're going to be doing in your recruiting process. So, what's your name?
Michael?
Michael, what school do you want to go play at?
Berkeley.
And what school do you want to play at? What school do you want to play at? What school do you want to play at? Okay. UCLA, Stanford, Berkeley, and that was it, right? So 4 for 4. Basically the biggest possible names that you can go play for. Okay? Parents, it's so important that you just listen to this is where everybody goes off on the wrong path. Okay? The Stanfords, the UCLAs of the world, they may not be the best fit for you. Who said UCLA? Okay, so UCLA, they're obviously a phenomenal team, and they have access to certain types of recruits. But if you went there, played 4 years, but never played a minute, are you happy? Okay. These are things to think about. Now, maybe you are just a brilliant player and you deserve to be starting as a freshman there. I don't know. But these are things that you make sure that you're thinking about when you're looking at your overall fit. Now, schools like, I'm just going to put, and Matt, I apologize, but who's heard of Claremont? Okay, all right, good. I love it, okay? Now, that's fantastic. Now, do you guys know that that's like almost, it's basically an Ivy League education? Anybody know that? Okay, good. So, a phenomenal team. We have put, who's heard of Williams College? Who's heard of Emory? Okay, who's heard of Amherst? Okay, and if you look around the room, only a handful of you guys are raising your hands at certain times. Those types of schools are giving you an Ivy League education. If you went to, who's heard of Tufts? Tufts just won the national championship. So parents, think about it this way. I can send my kid to get an education at an Ivy League school and my son's winning a national championship? Is that what you want? I would assume so. I hope so, right? Because at the end of the day, this is about making sure that you get a good education moving forward. Now, anywhere you go, you can get a great education. But sometimes my point is that only a fraction of you guys have heard of certain schools from around the country, and our job is to find that best fit for you. So when we're talking about the Berkeleys and the Stanfords of the world, that may not be the best fit for you, okay? But we've heard of them because, you know, we know their football team. I literally was doing a college night a few months ago. I won't mention the club, but a girl said, University of Oregon. And I said, okay, why? And I said, do they have your major? And she said, I don't know. And then I said, so, okay, well, why University, why Oregon? And her answer, believe it or not, parents, because this is where they're at, well, their football team has cool unis. Okay? That's not how we should be researching schools. Okay? So, if I had a 3-point, let's just say a more realistic 3.6 GPA, I change that, and you can see everything recalculate underneath me. If I have test scores here that are a little bit more realistic range, you'll see how everything recalculates to show me schools academically that are a great fit for me. Now, who's heard of Christopher Newport University? Nobody. I haven't. This is all I do, and I haven't heard of that school. Okay? And so, point is that our job is to... What's that? Okay, we got one. Somebody's heard of it. Great. But if this is my profile, those are the types of schools I might want to take a look at. But let's just say I talk with my coach. Now, who's had a conversation with their coach on staff, wherever you're playing, saying, Coach, where do you see me having a lot of success? What division? What level? Who's had that conversation? Okay, 2, 3 of you have the conversation. Because if somebody looks, and make sure that you have that conversation with somebody that's not going to lie to you. Okay, hey Greg, or if I ask somebody and say, hey coach, where do you see me playing? Where do you see me having success? They come back and say, Greg, we see you at the D2, D3 world. That's where we see you. Look back at them and say, thank you. Because what if they say, because they don't want to hurt your feelings, oh, you're D1. You're D1 through and through. Stanford, you see, oh, yeah, absolutely. You're totally at that level. What's going to happen to your process? If you're not at UCLA's level, are you going to call UCLA? Okay, just no. Are you going to call Stanford for a kid that has a 3.0 GPA? No. Okay, so let's be realistic about what schools we're taking a look at. So if I wanted to filter on, I don't know, if I wanted to look at Division III, but my coach says that I can play very high level D3, then you can actually, we keep track of which schools have based on their wins and loss records, so that you can. They say you're a lower tier D1 player, or maybe a higher tier D3 player. There's a lot of crossover, and you can play with this information, and you can find schools that are of an appropriate fit for you. You want to take a look at the East Coast, and everybody wants to be a kinesiology major nowadays, and you can see how quickly we just narrowed it down from about 1,100 and change schools to 23 based on what I'm putting in here. Now it's telling me schools that are a good fit. Now who's heard of Messiah College? Only a handful of you. On the boys' side, I just want to tell you they've won 8 of the last 12 national championships. Okay? You might want to take a look at them, and nobody's heard of them. Okay? So if I wanted to click on the trophy, slides open. If I can get there, sorry, the mouse. Slides open, coach's contact information, a little bit more on the actual school. From the school side, has all of their majors, their application deadlines. It has more information, their school rankings. If I want to take a look at sending an email to a coach, and Carlos touched on that, when we communicate with these coaches, it is so critical that we are personal about the process. So, I don't know, I'll just ask you, do you guys like getting emails where it just says, hi coach, and I'd love to come play for your school? No? It's a big no. Nobody does, but if you were to say, I love that you have an engineering degree, and I saw that you just beat so-and-so in spring season last year, and I'm really interested in your school for all of these reasons, do you pay attention to that kid? Then yes, that's when they're saying yes. So we have links directly to their athletics page, so you can do more research on the actual school very quickly before you ping off an email. Or if you want to know exactly where the school is located, you just click the map icon, automatically pulls up in Google for you. If this is a school that you want to take a little bit more of a look at, then all you have to do is hit the save icon, and now we're saving schools to our favorites list, which Carlos was talking about as well. Okay, now our favorites list, this is important because somebody, whether it's somebody's monitoring, whether it is a lot of the clubs that we work with, and we're working with over, it's almost 100 clubs across the country, their directors will go in and take a look at your list and go, no. Maybe I'll call these 3 schools, but if you're not at the Stanford level, Stanford shouldn't be on this list if you have a 3.0. Harvard shouldn't be on your list if you have a 3.0 GPA. So make sure that your list is of an appropriate, I guess it's an appropriate list for you. And make sure that you're saving, I think Carlos, you were recommending, 25 schools. And what that means in terms of, we want to, when you start this process, be a little bit more broad. If you only look at 5 schools, say, these are the 5 schools, and you never even reached out to the coach, maybe you only end up talking to 3 of them. Okay, so now I got 3 opportunities, and then maybe I'm a center back, and they just brought in a center back this year. Dang it. Okay, another school's gone. Oh, I really like this school, but at the end of the day, the financial package just wasn't at the level that I needed to afford the school. Now I'm down to 1. Please, I hope that I can go there. Okay, bad idea. Your job is to start a little bit more broad, and then you be the one that is picky as you move forward through the process. There's so many reasons why a school drops off your list. So don't start with 5. Bad idea. Start with what he was saying about 25 and then whittle it down. And I think Brian was talking about that 10. And then you finally get, as you're moving through the process, you get to that 10, that 5. And then we're making decisions on what school we want to go to. So as we, the next one, the history, as we're communicating with coaches, it's so important that we keep track and stay organized. So my story is, again, Vegas. Nobody cares about me as a player. I was a good player. Played on a very good team, and I needed, again, shout from the heavens, come watch me play, come watch me play, come watch me play. So I was talking to 55 colleges, because I had to. I had to. And it was hard keeping track of what school I'm talking to, assistant coaches, keeping track of all that. My mom hands me the phone one day, and I assume I was talking to the University of Incarnate Word out of Texas, and I wasn't. I wasn't. So I'm talking to this coach, and for about 10 minutes, which is a really long time in a conversation, to tell them, oh yeah, I know your goalkeeper. He played at my high school. We won a state championship together. I'm describing him. He's got long blonde hair. He looks like a surfer from California. How do you not know this guy? And he's telling me, Greg, I have no idea who you're talking about. My mom comes running up the stairs holding a piece of paper after listening to my conversation, because parents, right, we're going to listen to the conversation. And she holding a sign that literally said, "You idiot, you're talking to the wrong school." Oh my God. To actually have to humble yourself in a conversation and ask the coach, who am I talking to? Bad idea. We need to make sure that we're organized with who we're talking to, when we're talking to. We talked about emails, phone calls. What did you talk about? Log it. Make sure that you know. So next time you pick up the phone, you can pick up the conversation right where you left off. It's about being professional, and this is where it goes haywire for 15, 16, 17-year-olds. We talked a little bit about texting. Nobody wants to pick up the phone and show what their real personality is. Grandma could be writing your email for you, and you could be, somebody else can be texting, you're hiding. They need to make sure that they get to see your personality. That's why it's so important to make the phone calls, go on the visits, meet them in person. You gotta push the process along, and keeping organized on what you're doing is so critical that you can log here what I did, what school it was, and it automatically shows up on the right-hand side of what happened. So at any given moment, I need to say, what have I done with this individual school? Boom. I literally know every single thing that I've done. Wow, I haven't even contacted them in the last 2 months. They probably don't even think I'm interested anymore. Better get on it, okay? So critical. It has a comprehensive task list. We're expanding this. If you look over the top, or if you scroll over the top of this, it shows you what this is, why it's important, why you have to complete the eligibility center. College coaches don't like it when they recruit you and they bring you in only to find out that you didn't do what you were supposed to do and you're not eligible. Bad idea. The decision-making process, so critical. We talked a little bit about this on it is so important that you logically go through, why am I interested in playing at this school and the reasons why. So you mentioned UCLA. Who was that? That didn't want to. Okay, so the quality of the team, at the first, it's important to you, but what about your ability to make an impact? Obviously, your major and other things are important, but I just had to talk a family, a girl, mom called me and asked me, can you call my daughter? Because she's about to make a decision on what school she's going to because her boyfriend's going there. Bad idea on why we choose a school. So, going through it systematically on why I'm looking for this school. Obviously the main three that we talk about, does it have my major, can I afford it, and do they have their roster spot? But the finances come into play, things of that nature. So I can start comparing side by side schools. This school is maybe a public school, maybe it's going to get me out in 4.5 years versus a private that might be different. I can put in the grants and scholarships that I'm getting. Maybe it's $10,000 at this school versus something else, the other one. It tells you what, when it comes to, if it's saying it doesn't have the right major. In red, it's saying don't go there, bad idea, stop what you're doing. Okay? But then the other things that we want to take a look at. You know, the academic level, the alumni network, the faculty-student ratio, maybe that's important to you, maybe it's not. You tell the program how critical it is to you in your decision-making process. Now, we just talked about maybe the quality of the team, maybe that's high for me, but my ability to make an impact is critical. Okay, that was something for me. I went and played D3 ball. I could have sat the bench at a D1 school, or I could have been an impact player at a D3 school. That's what the route that I chose. And you actually can come through and rate each school per the criteria. So I talked to this coach, and in my opinion, he gets a 2, he gets a 3. This coach really liked him, her, they get a 10, they get a 9. Talk to the staff, or the faculty-student ratio, the location, I went and looked at the dorms, whatever it is, you can tell the program how important it is to you, and it gives you a weighted average of what school you should be paying more attention to. So when I click Save, Cal Baptist is no longer my #1 choice based on my own answers. Okay? Does this mean that you have to go to Cal Baptist? No. That doesn't mean that you have to go there. Maybe you're comparing cost. Maybe my #1 school is going to cost me $100,000 more than my #2. It doesn't mean that's where you have to go. It helps you systematically look at this, because anybody that you ever talk to will give you this saying. If you tore your ACL, if you blew your knee out, and you had to go to this school, would you still be happy? Okay, you have to think of it this way, because this is about your future, your education. At some point, I'm sorry guys, your soccer career is going to end. It happened to me, happened to all of us up here. It's going to happen. You got to start thinking about these things. And then the other thing is, it's a nice quick thing here. You can go through your preferences, and you can tell what I'm looking for and the reasons why. So at the individual clubs that we work at, you can go and plug this information in. If they're ever on the phone with a coach, one of these guys up here, they can actually better understand what each one of their kids are looking for in a school. You're like, oh, yep, looking for a small school, wants to go to the East Coast, has family in the Boston area. Yes, I think he's a great fit for your program. But if you work with somebody else, you work with a group, you work with College Soccer Guide, these are things that I would recommend that you do. So that is my super fast, quick, I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of time to really go into details about why you have to do these things, but I think my role tonight was to talk about, bluntly talk about what it's like to be in the trenches. I don't know what, maybe whatever you've heard, it's crazy out there, and you got to make sure that you're regimented in what you're doing, otherwise someone might steal your roster. That's just the way it is. So, if you did decide to work with College Soccer Guide, this is included with that. I'd highly recommend it. I know I'm a little bit biased, but from a lot of people that we speak with, college coaches, etc., they like this stuff. So, making sure that you're researching schools that are appropriate for your ability in the classroom, on the field, and making sure when you're communicating with them that you're professional. Trust me when I say it goes a long way with them. So that is my quick synopsis. So I appreciate it.
So I think we're running out of time, and I'm going to pass these out. My name is Amy Mendelson, and I own a company called Competitive Edge College Counseling. I'm going to have a confession to make. I've never played soccer before, so I feel like I'm a bit of a fish out of water, but I'm learning a lot, so that's good. If you're a family, when you guys leave tonight, if you could take one of these for family and then just put extras on the seats, that would be great. So I could talk to you guys for hours about college admissions, but I won't. But you're going to have questions, I promise. So all this stuff about getting recruited is fantastic, except for you all also have to apply. Sorry, to college as well, and that's where I come in. So this is a down and dirty guide. There's 2 sides to it. The first side doesn't say page 2. I'll give you a hint. In the box at the top, there's a really cool little box that says action items. How many of you guys are in 8th grade? Students only, raise your hand. 8th graders? Awesome. 9th graders? Ooh, not so many. 10th? That's going to be it, right? 11th? Okay, so I think our majority is 10th and 11th. So you guys are in the throes of this, but for you guys to take home later, I want you to know that there are 3 things you need to be doing. Sorry, 4 things you need to be doing in the upper left-hand box on the front side. Take challenging classes in high school. Get the best grades possible in those classes. Read every day. Sorry, 30 minutes. You have to do it, and I'm not talking Monday through Friday, folks. I'm talking 7 days a week. And take the ACT and the SAT seriously, because it'll be worth it later on. I wanted to give you on this side just a real down and dirty overview of what you should be doing in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and this is not obviously for recruitment. That's all this good stuff, but this is for the college admissions timeline. Parents often, it's very different than it used to be, and parents often don't know what they should be doing when or how to help their students. So this is, you can put this on the fridge and check what you need to be doing and when. I'm going to give you guys a second just to look over that and let me know if you have any questions.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Can we get this row was skipped?
Yeah, I got some. I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
There's a couple.
Do you guys want to grab? They're in that blue folder right there. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that. And this row in the back too, I think.
I did.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So you can see, you guys, and the kids too, look at this. So in 9th grade, there's like 4 little check marks, and then you can see 10th grade there are more, and then 11th grade, there's even more. And then 12th grade, that's by month. So when you're a senior in high school, these are the things you need to be doing by month to apply to colleges. How many colleges are in America? Anybody know? There aren't just 3, UCLA, Berkeley, and what's the other one, Stanford? 2,200. Lots of colleges for you. One of the coolest things about watching these presentations tonight has been the emphasis on fit. Fit is critically important. We work with our students individually to find academic fit, financial fit, and social fit. And again, I couldn't be more pleased for these experts, athletic experts, to be talking to you guys about going to college for an education. Because that's kind of what it's about. Soccer's awesome, but we go to get a degree and get a job afterwards.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You kind of timed the last presentation, when they're saying when you look for college, make sure you have a good fit for major and et cetera.
Yep.
But what happens if a child doesn't know what to major in?
Most kids don't, and that's totally okay. You're going to look at a bunch of other factors. You want to look at what kind of a learner the student is, like are they introverted or extroverted, what kind of environment they're going to do well in. I mean, how many of you guys, moms and dads, went to college and didn't know what you wanted to major in? Anybody change their major multiple times? Yeah. So it's totally par for the course. You guys, 16, 17-year-olds, you don't have to know what you want to do the rest of your life. Totally okay, lots of colleges out there to meet your needs. Some people would argue that that's what college is for, to figure out what you want to do with your life. Quickly, can you guys look to the back?